Hi, Jaken here. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the movie Lion King. One of the scenes portrays the moment where Simba is disturbed and almost disgusted with himself. He had this passion and desire inside him of someday following his dad's footsteps and being a king. But because of his Uncle Scar and bunch of hyenas, his childhood dreams and aspirations are shattered, and he's banned from the kingdom forever. After that, he's been in this Hakuna Matata mode with his friends in the jungles, trying to be something that he's not. And that's led him to some discouraging moments where he knew that there's something missing in his adult life, something that he treasured as a child, his own true identity. He has lost an integral part of who he really is. I think we all partially experience this phenomenon in our lives where we lose a vital part of who we are in the process of growing up and becoming an adult. Along the way, we often feel as if we had something really valuable in our childhood that we had lost somehow, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly what that was. So, how are we to regain a part of our childhood? Or should we? If yes, then why and to what extent? So, do you remember your childhood? How was it like to be a kid? I can't speak for everyone here since every individual's experiences of their childhood are inevitably different. But I think overall, in most cases, small children tend to have the following three characteristics. The first key distinct nature of being a kid is that they are always very fond of themselves and confident in their potential and therefore not afraid to fail or look like a fool. Actually, failing is just a natural state for them in everything. They're not concerned about what others would think if they did a bad job, since they're children and they're supposed to make mistakes. They're supposed to fail, and it's okay for them to fail. They do what they have to do and learn all sorts of new things they're terrible at, but they do it anyway. They enjoy life as it presents itself to them. Picture a toddler trying to walk. They're not concerned about how others perceive them. If and inevitably when they fall, they don't quit and overthink saying, maybe I'm just not good at walking. That would be ridiculous. They fall hundreds of times before they start walking, and by failing repeatedly, they take a big leap forward. Literally everything they do is starting from zero, but they're not afraid to jump in and just start learning. Fast forward to adulthood, and now we are often afraid of everything. We stay in our little comfort zone and never venture to step out sometimes, in fear we could potentially be a laughing stock to others. I found myself straining to be perfect, straining to act like as if I knew, as if I could do on the outside, but feeling insecure inside. It became the opposite of when we were children. Instead of being confident and honest and truly trying to work things out for the better, we become fake confident on the outside while extremely scared and insecure on the inside. Imagine what would happen if small toddlers behaved as we did, afraid to fail, afraid of what others might think. They would never learn to walk, eat, learn new languages, or do anything basic whatsoever. When a kid starts walking, he or she doesn't worry about falling. They just keep practicing and trying again and again until they master standing up, barely taking one step, and then two, then three, then they start walking and running, and they go on to be super athletes or whatever they wish to be. It's that exact same process for us in everything. Kids reinvent themselves over and over again throughout their childhood. Imagine a kid, how they grow up and change, and sooner or later you can't even recognize them. They've changed so much. But at some point, we say, I'm just going to stop changing. This is who I am, and this version of me is going to last forever because I want to look competent in others' eyes, regardless of my actual reality. All right, the second characteristics of kids is that kids are expressive, hungry, and excited for life. They want to experience more, do more, try more. They love feeling and expressing honest and true emotions, and they anticipate the best out of everything, which gives them hope and joy in everything they encounter. They're not afraid to convey and show the world what they're feeling and experiencing at the moment, such as joy, fear, gratitude, excitement, or anxiety, and it is natural for them of letting themselves known to the world as they really are. They are able to find joy and excitement from minor details of life, and every moment is special for them. They dream big without being bogged down by the perceived reality of the adults. Their enthusiasm, positivity, and optimism for life is refreshing and admiring to others, and we are naturally drawn to that kind of spirit of optimism. But as we age, we slowly lose that excitement and curiosity of our childhood. We get caught up with our chase after happiness or success that we are blinded by them, no longer being able to enjoy the day-to-day moments of our lives. We also get so accustomed to everything around us that we start thinking that we already know everything. There is nothing amuses us any longer. It is the same routine, same life, same people, same house, same street, and same everything. The excitement that we felt as kids just to step outside for a walk, we no longer feel even when we're about to sit on a plane and go to a whole new country or a continent. So how do we regain that childish excitement? How do we truly find happiness and joy in small moments of our daily lives? I think the secret to happiness consists partly of letting go of control, of the desire to force meaning and success into existence. We're constantly pumped with this notion of live for success, fulfill all your dreams, and create your destiny, that we sometimes forget that in reality there are very limited things in life that we can actually control. And there are many things that are outside of our own control. Even if you are the most powerful and richest man in the world, you can still get seriously sick or injured, lose everything in one day through theft, natural disasters, bankruptcy, or you can lose your loved ones that could make everything else meaningless, and you yourself will inevitably die someday. I think it's important to remember that once we give everything we have to life and we try our best, it is also just as important to learn to let go of focusing merely on the distant future and try to see the everyday beauty and precious moments in our lives. I think this point was much more elaborately articulated by a French philosopher and theologian, Blaise Pascal. He says, "Let each of us examine his thoughts. He will find them wholly concerned with the past or the future. We almost never think of the present, and if we do think of it, it is only to see what light it throws on our plans for the future. The present is never our end. The past and the present are our means. The future alone our end. Thus, we never actually live, but hope to live. And since we are always planning how to be happy, it is inevitable that we should never be so." My third and final key characteristics of children is that children embrace their real selves. They're okay being weird, authentic, crazy, over the top, and brutally honest. They do not try to fit in. They do not box their thoughts and ideas into the boxes that others created, but rather think freely, allowing their imaginations to flow everywhere and anywhere. They portray themselves as they really are, and they like being themselves. When you were a child, you were flexible, you were soft inside and was able to grow and shape into all sorts of ways and thoughts. You were not rigid nor concerned with your image or expectations of others. But as you grow older, you start making expectations for yourselves, saying, "I am such and such a person. I am this kind of human being. This is my identity. This is my destiny." And you start thinking and acting according to those self-made assumptions. You box yourself in, and other people start boxing you in as well. And all of these different aspects start shaping who you are in an original and fabricated manner. I remember a phase in my life when I was so insecure of my own personality and character that I actively searched for role models to mimic after. One person after another, I tried copying and cloning myself into his or her shoes, trying to be, that type of man. I stopped talking because some cool character in a movie refused to talk. I stopped showing emotions because that's the manly thing to do. And then the next moment I would try the opposite, trying to, purposely convey more emotions and be all hyped up about life. I started acting all these things to try to be someone else but myself. And inevitably I would burn out and get tired of not being me because it's simply impossible. You are who you are and nothing can change that. I'm not saying you can't change yourself at all. You can and definitely should try to work on your character, personality, skills, and mindsets to a new level every day. to be a better kind of a person, but that is different from trying to be someone else entirely, to ditch your own unique being and mimicking others. Sometimes figuring out who you really are and accepting yourself takes a lot of time, effort, and observation. Try to observe your patterns, the things you like and truly enjoy, and the things you don't enjoy. We easily think we know ourselves, but in many cases, I found out people really don't know much about themselves at all. The things they think they like and enjoy, things that they fancy and feel attracted to, can be things that were merely planted in your head as pleasurable or desirable through advertisements or peer pressure. The dream and aspirations you have could be a result of jealousy or covetous mind, or just following the pack because everyone else around you is chasing after the same thing. Finding your original self can be a difficult task, but keep at it, because the joy and peace you discover when you find your true identity will be well worth the effort. I myself had to go through many trials and errors to find what I really liked, what I am good at, and my lasting aspirations. And to be honest, I'm still searching. Many of the dreams I held was merely a product of jealousy or bandwagon. I think when we learn to let go of these things, we are able to free ourselves from the unnecessary boxes that we ourselves and others have created. And we will be able to embrace and accept who we are as we are. As a kid likes and enjoys his own company. I'm not saying childish ways are the best. No, actually, if we keep on being kids forever, that is simply being foolish and stupid. There are certainly drawbacks and incompleteness in being a kid. You're naive, you do not know the world, you do not know how to communicate effectively, you have no idea what to expect from others, you have no capability to think and plan strategically, and many more. So my point is not let's all be kids. We must certainly outgrow our childish ways and be an adult at some point in our lives. But at the same time, we must take time to reflect and look back on some of the very important key characteristics that makes children unique and special, and see if we had let go of certain childish aspects that were never meant to let go of, that by embracing some of those characteristics, it would be immensely helpful to our current adult life. It's about finding the right balance. For example, when we are small, we don't have regards to managing and controlling our emotions at all, showing anger, frustration, happiness, gratitude, anger, joy, and all of that without any filter whatsoever. And then we grow and we start filtering too much and become like a robot trying to please everyone but myself, and portraying emotions and feelings that are contrary to what I really actually feel. You have to somehow combine those two together and learn to throw away some of the childish ways, but also regain some other aspects that are beneficial to us in the long run. In areas of longer term versus short term, thinking and planning, it is the same. In our teenage years, we are very short term oriented people, living for the now and not considering the future when making decisions. It's all about the present. It's all about having fun and enjoying your time here and now. And then we grow up and we start learning about the long-term results and long-term thinking. We slowly get used to that concept, then become obsessed with it, and we start only living for the future, the someday, the one day. All we think about is what will happen in my future. What should I do? What should I become? And we start neglecting the now and the present moment. And then years go by and we look back realizing we haven't enjoyed a single day of my life for the past few years. It's again about striking the right balance. You let go of the irrational, only today focused mindset, but you also learn to not be so obsessed about the future. You learn to plan and strategize for your long-term goal, but you also learn to appreciate the present moment, the everyday happenings around me. So I like to think of it as a loop or a circle. As a child, you start out raw and original, possessing rather intuitively the fundamentals of life, but lacking features that are imperative for living a responsible, fulfilled life as an adult. As you progress through life, you start picking up many of these features that are helpful and constructive, but lose your originality and some of the fundamentals that are core to your identity. At some point, you start your journey back to your original self and the loop is complete. you are back to where you started, finding your original self, but your journey is certainly not in vain, since now you possess many of the features that were lacking when you first started. We see this phenomenon in many aspects of our lives. I think the most successful companies usually, in many cases, follow this loop pattern as well. Think of the Apple company, for instance, where it started with a grand vision of a few engineers to make an impact on this world. But slowly as it scaled, it lost its originality and vision, creating products and hiring executives purely for driving the sales numbers and profits, which hurt the reputation of the company. At some point, they have had to go back to their original vision, trimming the product line that would support the cause and value of the company, but at the same time, maintaining high efficiency and scalability that they lacked when they first started. Think of romantic relationships. I'm not married yet, so I can't quite speak from my personal experience, but the 5 stages of romantic relationships that many experts agree on would do. You start out with the passionate love and emotions, the merge stage. You overlook all the small issues and errors of your partner, and you are just happy to be with him or her. But as your relationship matures, your emotions die down, and you get to really know your partner and see their quirks and shortcomings. Doubt and denial stage creeps in, which leads to disillusionment stage, where you simply cannot ignore the issues anymore and there are constant power struggles. Then comes the decision stage, where you make a definitive decision whether to stick through the relationship or leave. Final stage, wholehearted love, is when you finally accept your partner as they really are, with their imperfections and uniqueness. In some sense, they have come back to their original first love, but in a much more mature and stable manner. All right, finally, let's go back to the Lion King analogy. Simba abandoned all of his childhood in the jungles, but at some point he is able to find his way back to his original self. Does that mean he is again that same naive little cub that he used to be? Certainly not. He found his maturity, responsibility, courage, wisdom, and strength along the way, but his maturity was really complete only when he went back to his real identity. This is a good analogy for getting to the point I'm trying to make. When Simba was small, he was naive, stupid, foolish, but he was also very risk-taking, bold, confident, knew who he was going to be, and possessed natural leadership. That was his core identity, but when things got wayward and he had to leave, he embarked on a new identity following the footsteps of Pumbaa and, Simon. But we can see that he was not satisfied with his life deep down, that he felt something missing in his core being, mainly himself. So when he finally got to recognize himself and accepting himself as he is meant to be, he was able to transform into what we see at the end of the film, the king. Did Simba change? Yes, he had to. He matured and grew to be different, stronger, wiser, but at the same time, he sort of looped back to his old identity of who he is meant to be. He learned to embrace himself, and he was able to bring the two together. His adulthood of responsibility and strength and maturity, plus his core identity of being himself, mainly the king. So in a sense, I think we are the most original me when we are kids in certain ways. We don't try to mimic others. We don't live to please someone else. Yes, our character and personality are formed through observing, mimicking, having models and mentors, but in that process of growing up, we forget or abandon the real unique me, which is the only product in the whole universe. There's no one like you, and the best way for you to contribute positively to this universe, I think, is not being a clone of someone else, but to be genuinely you. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you in my next video.